Let's move to striker. I guess the question here is, I mean, who are going to be the call-ups? Balogun for sure, I would think. And then I think it gets a little unclear. Um, Probably Ricardo Pepi as well. But will we bring 3 strikers and
So,
bring Sargent
oh,
or Haji? Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I think I just don't see any way around not bringing Ricardo Pepi here. Like even though I mean, you could say, well, he just isn't playing enough for his club, but that strikes me as ridiculous because he wasn't playing a lot for his club when we brought him in the last camps, and he was good. He was scoring goals that we needed to score.
Mhm.
So I feel like dropping him would really feel strange just from a man management perspective. From uh,
That's
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
you're dropping a guy who's been delivering for you, uh, and there's no need to, right? We can bring extra players in this camp. And the other wrinkle here for me is the winger abyss that we're kind of staring into, where we're talking about like Paredes and we're talking about Brendan Aronson, and those guys aren't necessarily like bad choices to have, but like we said, they're certainly not demanding call ups right now. And if you have guys like Josh Sargent and Haji Wright who are performing really well, and they're both very versatile. Like Haji has been playing on the left wing, and Sargent has spent a ton of time playing like as sort of a wide right attacker. I think you just cheat. If it's me, I just cheat and get Balo and Pepe and Sargent and Haji all in camp and call Haji a backup left winger, and you can call Sargent a third striker, or you can call him a right sided attacker, or you don't have to care about that at all and just say, we've got between Gio, Malik, and Sargent, we've got a backup for Weah. So we've got two guys, at least two players who can deputize behind Pulisic and Weah.
And then maybe leave Brendo at home. I
I
mean,
mean,
in Berlin, they don't
yeah, I
play
mean,
much.
and
Yeah.
Berhalter's made those kinds of calls before and left, key Berhalter favorites behind. Uh, and again, what is Brendo really claiming to be doing here that would get him into a camp?
Right. That's interesting to have Sargent as a sort of a backup winger slash backup striker. I was totally prepared to have the Haji as a winger discussion, because you mentioned it a few weeks ago, and he has played mostly as a left wing for Coventry over the last couple months. He looks comfortable out there. He looks comfortable running the touch line. A little bit of combination happening. Um, I think I definitely have him as the first winger off the bench. Unless Tillman is playing winger,
Yeah,
then he's the
and that,
first
again,
winger off the bench.
that's where I land. You still run Malik out there, run Malik onto the field first, and we can ignite the whole Geo firestorm again. But Geo can easily slide out into a wide with quotes around it slot. Geo's still going to go wherever Geo wants to go, which is the beauty of Geo. Uh, but you get him on the field with Malik, and you can still cook out there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just to sort of brush up on how these guys are doing, Sargent has 2 goals in 5 appearances since coming back from injury. He's starting in a game that starts here in about 45 minutes against Leeds. Um, Playing pretty well, I think, but not getting on the ball much. In Y Scout, you can look up how many times a player received a pass under the passing tab for those of you who use it, which may not be perfectly accurate, but it is in the ballpark. I think the number they have is in the ballpark. And for the last 5 games, Josh has received 2, 3, 8, 5, and 3 passes. So Norwich is just not able to build through him in the way you'd think they'd like to. But he's still managing to have an impact, and he scored 2 pretty nice goals. I'm just noting the receptions numbers because they're just crazy low to me. And it's not like Norwich is terrible in the championship either at the moment. So I'm not
No,
sure
they
what's
were
going on.
terrible. They were terrible. Still too strong. They were very good with Josh at the beginning of the season. They were flying. Josh went down, and they fell pretty hard to mid table. And now that Josh is back, they're making another run at the playoff.
Yeah, love to see it. And then Haji, like I said, looks pretty comfortable out on the touchline. Got a hockey assist and scored a goal on 6 shots on New Year's Eve against Middlesbrough. He's a little bit loose with his passing, I think. And he has a little bit of that old Josh Sargent malady where he has shots get blocked off his foot that it looks a little bit too easy to block his shots. But man, when he does get a little bit of space, he can really crack the ball with either foot. He does have some 1v1 juice. He has some decent ideas for passes and combinations. So, yeah, it'd be fun to see him off the bench as a winger.
And I've long thought that Haji has like a weird narrative around him where a lot of people think of him as kind of like a Tronco out there, and he's got really tidy feet. Haji's always had, at least since we really started watching him more closely when he was playing in Turkey, like really tidy feet receiving the ball, and he can kind of play in some intricate little combinations with layoffs. So I'd be totally fine, if you're just looking for if it's between Haji out on the wing or some other effectively placeholder, anyone besides Pulisic, Weah, Reyna, or Malik. Everyone else in my mind right now is a placeholder. Yes, get Haji out there. Yeah, he's injured right now. We actually have to get back and start playing again. But
yeah, we're gonna go through the physio room. But yeah, his injury doesn't seem. I mean, it's a groin, and Fatmob's saying he's back mid-January. Now, that's not always the gospel truth, but let's hope he's back in plenty of time to come into this camp, assuming Berhalter wants him. I do think he's kind of a big man who plays small. For anybody who's who watched Northwestern basketball in the 1990s. So yeah, kind of a. But he is also one other thing in his favor. He's a little bit of an aerial presence on set pieces, so that's another thing in his favor.
Certainly have to account for him. So yeah, Coventry sitting in 6th at the moment in the championship, so they are in a playoff spot. And then just to round out strikers, we also have Pifak, who's back and scoring goals, and then Daryl Dike, who's back. West Brom also in a playoff spot at the moment in the championship. So again, we got some options. That's why I want to really hit this March camp hard with bodies in the camp. Get 4 of them in there. Like during the week, evaluate them however you want. But then you still have coverage, and you can still call it a balanced roster. 4 games that we have to win.
And it's still, it works in the roster format for the U.S. Soccer's releases because they just say forwards, and they put everybody in the same category. So
if we can bring. That. Yeah, if we can bring 8 right backs to the World Cup, we can bring 4 strikers to this game.